I'm Robin Scott from Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma City. Today we are going to have Dr. Scott Newman, who is the Division Chair in Information Technologies at Oklahoma State University Institute of Technology in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. He is going to talk to us about the structure of higher education. I'm sure that you have been used to all kinds of organizational structures in your lifetime, and higher education has its own special brand of organizational structure. And just as you would need to learn about a culture when you go visit a foreign country, so you should know a little bit about the culture of higher education before you get involved with it. It just makes sense, can solve you all kinds of problems, lets you avoid some maybe painful pitfalls. So he's going to share about that organizational culture. I think that probably what your parents told you about being respectful of everyone anyway, you'll keep in mind, but this would at least give you an idea of who the players are, what they do, and their roles and their jobs may be very different from what you're used to. But in any case, I think probably the best pointer that we could give you is to talk to your supervisor about it. If you have any kinds of questions on who you should go to, who you should visit with any kind of problem or situation, your supervisor will be able to help you with it. But this certainly will give you an introduction so you know what questions to ask. So again, we are so happy today to have Dr. Scott Newman share with us on the organization of higher education.
Higher education institutions organize their academic offerings within the academic departments themselves. And that certainly was the case, it's been the case for some time, but really in the late 1800s, early 1900s in the progressive movement, when the government and the working class were pushing for a greater variety of academic disciplines within higher education. That's really when the academic department came about. And so academic departments are the ones that house the faculty that the students belong to who are working on certain academic programs. And within the institutional hierarchy, it depends on the size of the institution and to some degree the philosophy of the executive administration. But you have the overall educational institution. Depending on its size, some of them are broken into colleges, if it's a particularly large institution, especially research universities. Some of them break them down into schools instead of colleges. Those tend to be a little bit smaller than colleges. And then within colleges, or in some cases, in the case of two-year institutions, they're divisions. And so instead of colleges or schools, they're divisions. And the department is normally housed under that level, underneath the college or the school or the division level. And so an example might be, you might have the University of X, the College of Education, the School of Educational Studies, and then the Higher Education Leadership Department. Another case from a two-year standpoint could be the two-year institution or the community college, the Division of Arts and Sciences, the Department of Humanities. And so it really depends on the institution, the organization, some of its philosophy, but in a general rule, you can think of the department, at least in my mind, of where the academic business actually takes place. Organizational structure depends on the size of the area of the department, and again, with respect to the preferences of whoever it is that's overseeing that particular area, so if it's a division head or a dean. But in general, you have the department head who reports to the dean or the division head, or in some cases a school head, depending on the size of the organization. And in my mind, the division head or the dean is kind of like a director level within an industry, within an organization. And directors tend to report to vice presidents. And in many cases, the dean or the division head or division chair tends to report to the vice president for academic affairs or the chief academic officer. So underneath the department chair, and who occupy their roles, they could be appointed by their supervisor. They could be elected from the faculty in that particular department. That happens. Or it could be a rotation, which is pretty common within research universities, that different faculty have a stint for a year or two in the particular department head role. So underneath the department head, sometimes you have assistant department heads if it's a particularly large organization. Sometimes you have lead faculty. And in those cases, they're faculty members who maybe receive a little bit of release time to assist the faculty in that particular area, or the faculty or the department head, with things like scheduling, curriculum development and guidance, assessment, academic assessment, certainly a big thing right now. The faculty, in my mind, are the individuals within the organization who really do the business of the organization. So obviously the faculty are in the department, and they're usually grouped by the discipline. But then you also have people, staff members. Some large departments have technical staff, technology staff who assist with a variety of projects and initiatives and activities. But you also have administrative assistants. And I think that very often they're one of the less appreciated, underappreciated groups within the academic department, because in many regards they know what's happening. They have connections to the individuals who are in positions to make decisions. And so while they may not occupy faculty or lead faculty or department chair roles, they're still really critical to that particular part of the infrastructure. So one of the pieces of advice I often give folks is don't underestimate the influence of the administrative assistants. And again, there can be different levels of administrative assistance within an academic department. Very often, if there are multiple, you'll have a senior academic administrative assistant who oversees making sure that the office is running properly. And then you have other individuals who maybe are answering the phone, who are coordinating, working with faculty in the scheduling issues. They could be, they could be very much involved in faculty depending on their particular role. But they could also be involved in enrolling students depending on the organizational structure. If an institution has decentralized enrollment or advisement, very often those people play a strong role in that. If it has centralized advisement, centralized enrollment, then they may play a less strong role in that particular function of the department. My advice to new faculty or anyone new to the higher education context is to be sensitive initially. Some people are very sensitive about how you address them, especially in front of students and often within the professional context. So if you saw them on Saturday, 3 miles from campus, shopping, you usually can call them whatever you want to call them. But in a professional meeting, or especially in front of students, very often they prefer their title. So often kind of the minimum level is Mr. or Ms. So-and-so. If they have a doctorate, very often people prefer Dr. So-and-so. If you're not sure, some institutions that if their faculty are called professors, then Professor so-and-so is a nice default. So try to, it's hard initially when you don't know everyone, but try to get to know fairly quickly what their preferences are. By the same token, some organizations are very laid back. If they don't have academic rank, or if people just don't have a need to be called doctor or a desire to be called doctor, that's fine. It really varies on an individual basis, but it also varies quite dramatically from institution to institution. So my advice would be particularly sensitive to that. I think the role of part-time faculty is of tremendous importance. It's a challenging role in many regards because you're not at the institution all the time. So you don't always know everything that's going on. You're not always in the conversations. But we rely heavily on part-time faculty to assist us in doing the business of our organizations, and that's to prepare people and to help them meet whatever their career and educational goals are. So one piece of advice I would give is to get to know the faculty and the discipline. And some of them will be more available than others, and part of that's just a scheduling and timing issue. But get to know those folks, because in many cases they're the ones who are heavily involved in developing the courses that you're helping them offer. And if you have suggestions about maybe improvements, feel free to talk to them about that, because we're always looking to make courses better. And faculty do what they do because they care about other folks. They didn't sign up for this because of the money. So get to know those folks. The other part of it is communicate often with and copiously with the academic department. So whoever your main contact is, and sometimes that's a lead faculty within a department, sometimes it's a department head or department chair. Sometimes your main point of contact is administrative assistant, because everyone else is really busy. But touch base with those folks, let them know that you're there, let them know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if anything comes up, again, make sure that everyone's on the same page. It's really important, because part-time faculty run into the same issues as full-time faculty. And sometimes trying to deal with those on a part-time basis can be really challenging. So communicate, get to know everyone, take time to really make sure whatever learning that you're facilitating is in line with whatever the department and the faculty have decided need to happen. And the last part is have fun, because higher education is a lot of fun if you're doing it right. And if you're not having fun, you're probably not doing something right.